Okay. All right. So again, welcome to Diabetes Cooking Club. Just a couple of housekeeping things for our sugar-free hydration class today. It's gonna be about an hour, so it might be a little less than that, might be about 45 minutes or so, but we really appreciate you being here today to join us for as long as that is. So, just a couple of quick things. Closed captioning is available. So, if you need closed captioning, feel free to wiggle your mouse and you'll see the CC button show up on your screen. Um, we realize this is not 100% accurate, and so if you are confused by anything that shows up on your closed captioning, feel free to type it in the chat and we'll try to kind of help those confusions. And then also, we just ask that you stay muted during this conversation unless there is a chat or an unmute question, just so we can kind of reduce that background noise. And then once again, like I mentioned earlier, we are recording this session, so if you do not want your video recorded, feel free to keep that off your screen. So before we jump into our topic today, I just wanted to share our disclosure, which is that the information you hear today is intended to be general health information and should not be used as a substitute for your medical care or advice from your provider. But if you have any questions, we will do our best to answer them. But if you have any specific questions regarding your individual medical needs and whatnot, that is something that should be brought to your provider. And with that being said, we're going to go through our agenda. I'll let Kim take it away.
All right, good morning. Like I said, I am a certified diabetes education specialist. And here today we're talking about sugar-free hydration. And so I'm going to begin this morning off on why hydration is key and talk about hydration and diabetes. I will be moving into sugary sweet beverages and diabetes and what are in those types of beverages and the cons of those kinds of beverages. We'll be doing some recipes in between these discussions and also move through some sugar-free beverages and diabetes and what are in those and some of those pros of those. So moving into our first topic, why hydration is key. Did you know that our bodies are made up of 60% water? Which means the health benefits of keeping hydrated is so important. And with hydration, we need to stay hydrated. It helps keep our bodies, the blood pumping. Hydration is helpful to keep our muscles working more efficiently. So when we keep hydrated, it keeps our muscles hydrated. And when we aren't hydrated, our muscles are kind of dry, we feel stiff. But most importantly, staying hydrated keeps our diabetes under control and our heart healthy. Okay, so hydration is key. When we're dehydrated, it means our body doesn't have enough water. And when we feel these symptoms, and maybe you guys have felt these symptoms before, that means our body has had not enough water. We are dehydrated. Did you know that the first sign of dehydration is thirst? If you are sitting here today thirsty, a little bit thirsty, as Isabel grabs her water, you are just a tidge dehydrated. So I want all of you to grab a hopefully watery beverage right now if you're a little bit thirsty and take a sip, because we can have a little sign of dehydration by being thirsty. But don't go off your thirst, because sometimes we don't feel thirsty and we're already dehydrated. Other signs of dehydration that are common is that we're dizzy. We can also be extra fatigued and tired, but we can be tired for other reasons as well. And as you see, a headache. We can have a headache for other reasons. So dehydration means that our body doesn't have enough water, and we can have some common symptoms as you see below. So hydration is key. Now, with summer here, it's July 2nd. When the temperature goes up, so can our blood sugars. So as the temperature rises outside, our blood sugars can also go up. So it is important to stay adequately hydrated, drinking enough fun, cool beverages that we're going to share with you today to keep your blood sugars stable. If you can see on the screen, whether it be on your phone, your iPad, or your computer, that spike, that roller coaster that's crazy up and down, that might be because you might have grabbed a sugary beverage to stay hydrated and your blood sugar spiked and then they came right back down. That's not what we want. That's not good hydration. And we'll talk to you about that today. Good, fun, sugar-free hydration will have a little bit of a nice smooth roller coaster. Our blood sugars will stay nice and controlled and we'll be hydrated. We'll stay away from the headaches, the dizziness, and we'll feel good this summer. So I think with that said, we're going to let Tina show us a good, fun, hydrating, sugar-free beverage. Take it away, Tina.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Yes. All right. So we are going to get started today with our first recipe. We are doing 3 recipes. Should have gotten those in your email this morning. We are going to start off with our watermelon rosemary water. Very simple infusion style beverage that is going to use fruit and herbs as our flavoring component, and that is going to bring very little sugar to the table when we are trying to stay hydrated this summer and we're just looking for a little bit of break from just our plain old water. So this is one of the options that you can use along with many other infusion type waters. So while I'm getting myself set up here, I want to hear from you guys in the group today. What are your favorite infusion style waters? What kind of flavorings do you like to bring together when you're going to just kind of flavor up some water to make it a little bit more fun for summertime? Put that in the chat for us.
All right, so Pamela says lemon. That's a delicious one. Nice and kind of, yes, zingy is the word I'm thinking of this morning. For lemon. So that sounds great. Strawberries. That sounds delicious as well. And then once you put the strawberries and lemon together, I mean, that's a great, it's a great combination. Penny says lemon or lime. Cucumber. Nice.
Very good. Classic combinations. I too agree with you, Isabel. Strawberry and lemon together, just a slight strawberry lemonade type spin on water. Absolutely. Very good. Classic combinations, you guys. I love it. I'm very curious to know if anybody has done watermelon and rosemary together, which we tried to pull together some unusual pairings to test out this morning. So all I've done so far this morning, picked out my watermelon from the grocery store, of course, and all we need is just 1 cup of cubed diced watermelon for this recipe, to 10 cups of water. So I've already got 10 cups of water into my pitcher. What I am using this morning is one of those infuser pitchers. Not sure if any of you guys have this at home, but this is a infuser pitcher. It's got this column in here that you fill with all of your fruits, vegetables, herbs, whatever it is that you want to infuse flavor into your water. And you simply just remove the lid of the pitcher for your infuser column, and then you just put in your lemons, your strawberries, your cucumbers, whatever it is. So we're going to add our 1 cup of watermelon to our column here. I've already got my watermelon all diced up, and so we'll add a cup here.
Now I have to say that looks like a really good watermelon. Did you have a trick for picking it out? Because that looks perfect.
Boy, our looks deceiving, Isabel.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I just told Kim this morning, I said, boy, my watermelon this morning is quite disappointing. So wow. I clearly did not pick out the right one. What are your guys' tips and tricks for picking out the right watermelon? That's what we should ask the group today.
I agree, because watermelon season.
Yes.
Yeah, if any of you have tips and tricks for picking out a watermelon while Tina's filling up her column, I would love to hear that. Camilla says, find an expert. I like that. Watermelon farmer. I agree.
Oh, that's exactly what Kim said too, right? Kim, where was that location that you were talking about?
So my own family found Barden. So I'm here in South Haven. but Barden's there in Saugatuck at the corner. But Barden's is here in South Haven, so Barden's in Saugatuck, they have a little stand there. My family found the best watermelon there, and they found it again yesterday and brought another one home. And so I come to South Haven and come to Barden's. I'm here on Blue Star, right off the highway, everybody. It's beautiful and it's delicious.
Very good. All right. All right. So as you can see, I've got my red watermelon in my column. I put 2 sprigs of rosemary in there as well. And so all I'm going to do is put my lid back on. Now with infusions, right, you typically want to let these flavors sit in the water at least overnight. So this is going to take a little bit of pre-planning. You're really going to want those flavors to have time to infuse into that water. So here we are with our very first simple infusion water recipe, which is watermelon and rosemary. We've got that in our 10 cups of water. We're going to just set that off to the side, and at the end, we're going to pour it over some ice, maybe give it a little garnish. And we're going to pass it back on to Kim to teach us more about the importance of hydration with sugar-free beverages.
Okay, well, actually, I'm going to talk first about sugary beverages and the knowledge of, we know that the higher the sugar and the carb content in liquid beverages, our favorites that we'll name, that the higher and quicker our blood sugars will go up and spike, which I talked a little bit about just a few minutes ago. So when we look at some of our favorites or very similar, so this is a sweet tea. This is an Arizona sweet tea. We see that there are actually in this 20-ounce bottle, 2 servings in this container. So the one column of the label here is for 1 serving, 12 ounces, about half the bottle, but I'm not sharing. Typically, no one shares their 20-ounce bottle with anybody. So the right-hand column of this is for the whole container. There is 54 grams of carb. And of that 54, thank you, Isabel, there is 53 grams of sugar. So we are looking at 13 teaspoons, that red box up in the right-hand corner of this slide. 13 teaspoons. That is several tablespoons, cups of sugar in this 20 ounce of sweet tea. That itself is not hydrating. That your body is trying to digest like food and is not a hydrating beverage. Okay, so as you can see, the carb content is what is going to designate how that food is going to drive your blood sugar up. There's lots of carb, but all of that carb is definitely sugar. And the added sugars in that is all added sugars. It's not there's nothing natural about it. All of it is 53 added sugars. That means that is granulated sugar dumped into that bottle of sweet tea. So what we're looking at here is, you know, lots of sugar in that bottle. For those of you that do math, 13 teaspoons, you know, isn't that 4 tablespoons? Isn't that a quarter cup of sugar approximately? So quarter cup of sugar in that 20-ounce bottle of sweet tea. All right. So let's move on. That is not a hydrating beverage. It's lots of sugar. All right. For those of you that do energy drinks, thank you, Pamela. For those that do energy drinks, here we have a Monster drink. All right. For this 16-ounce can of Monster, we look at the total carbohydrate. There's 58 grams of carb. 54 grams is sugars. And all of that is added. So that means they've dumped. There's nothing natural about it. It's all added sugars. That is a lot of of sugar in 1 can. 13 teaspoons, so it's about 1/4 of a cup. If you can imagine a 1/4 cup of like a measuring cup, there is nothing hydrating about that. Your body has to digest, work hard to digest that. That is going to spike your sugar level, your blood sugar level, and there is nothing hydrating. So what that's going to do is not cool you off on a hot day. That is going to make your body try to digest. That's going to make nothing cooling about your body. That your body's got to work hard to make that get rid of all the nutrients in that. So if you're hot from the beach or gardening or biking and you drink that, that isn't going to work to cool you off. And it's definitely not sugar-free. Your blood sugar is going to definitely spike upon drinking that. Let's do another example here. Well, yeah, let's do this example. You're plain can of Coke. So about the same amounts of sugar. And mind you, we look at this 10 teaspoons, and looking at several resources is just kind of a guide. Added sugars, somewhere's about 6 to 9 teaspoons, depending on men and women a day, is okay. These are just beverages. 1 beverage of these a day knocks that out of the park. This doesn't include any food, anything else a day. So it just really, really, really knocks that out of the park. This has 39 grams of carb. All of it is sugar. Again, these beverages bring that, that diabetes concern, non-hydrating, 1/4 cup, around 1/4 cup of sugar in just a can, just that 12-ounce can of pop soda, right? Nothing hydrating about it. We need to find an alternative. So our blood sugar is still under control and we're hydrated from it. If we're drinking soda, if we're drinking energy drinks, if we're drinking other things, and we find ourselves just continuing to drink on a hot summer day, these things, it's because it's just not working for us. It's not meant to hydrate. So I'm trying to think, last slide before we start looking at another recipe. Chronic high blood sugars. So high blood sugars from these kinds of beverages that are chronically high in the sugar content over time are going to lead to issues with our diabetes. So hydrating with these kinds of beverages, it's kind of like a vicious cycle. We're kind of like never doing ourselves good. So let's find ourselves some good hydrating beverages, and that's our objective today, sugar-free beverages. So let's turn it back over to Tina and find out some more beverages.
All right, very good. Actually, we will. So we are going to do the no sugar added raspberry iced tea. So this one requires a few extra steps to prepare. So what we are doing right now is we're going to brew some black tea. So if you're following along with the recipe, I have put 4 cups of water into my pot. I've got my 6 black tea bags sitting in there steeping. We're going to let that steep for about 5 minutes or so, kind of let it cool off so we can get it into our pitcher. And then what we're doing is we're infusing the flavor of raspberries into our water by boiling them. And actually, if we want to stop screen share, okay, very good. Very good. All right, so the recipe calls for 7 cups of water. I've got 4 cups back there for my black tea bags. And then what I did here is I've got 3 cups of water boiling, and I put in also 3 cups of fresh raspberries. And I simply boil that for 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, kind of let them simmer down for 10 minutes or so. They're still quite hot, as you can see the steam coming off. of them right now. So we're gonna let them cool down, but we just have boiled raspberries. We're really boiling out that raspberry flavor. I can smell it. It smells absolutely delicious, and it is gonna go very well with some lemon juice and some lemon slices into our iced tea tea bags. So this is just smashed down raspberries. And then what we're going to do once it cools down a little bit, we'll kind of come back to this after we make our pineapple mint recipe. We are going to use a mesh strainer to simply remove all of those seeds and the actual fruit so we can have a smooth flavor for our water. So that is where we're at right now with our no sugar added raspberry iced tea. You can make your own iced tea, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys ever do those cold brew packets from the store? They sell those cold brew options that I really enjoy. The peach one is my favorite. Does anybody else in the group use those cold brew packets? Type it in that chat for me.
You know, while we're waiting for everybody to type in the chat, if you don't know what the cold brew tea packets are, do you I've never used them either. So do you just kind of let them sit overnight in water, Tina? Is that how it kind of goes?
So you're going to see my hoarding situations of teas back here. And I'm pretty sure I have a box. I should have pulled that out. I do.
The raspberry one
Wow,
sounds
cheers.
delicious while you're looking for your teas. So a couple of them have said no, that they will try them. They haven't tried them before, but they will. And then some of them said, no, I haven't used them yet. So this will be interesting.
All right. So this is cold brew. Maybe I'll closer to the camera here. This is cold brew peach iced tea, brews in cold water specifically. And so no, you do not have to do this overnight. It says brews in just minutes. So your directions are add your tea bag to your cold water, steep for 5 minutes, stir, remove tea bag, add ice, sweeten if desired. Easy peasy for a flavored cold brew tea. Probably less expensive than purchasing the gallons worth of unsweetened iced tea. You can have these in individual servings. Of course, you could make a pitcher worth as well. And so the packets, I will open this because some of the packets are a little different. So this one actually looks like your regular traditional hot tea bag. Some of them are in more of a wider pouch, so it looks a little bit different. So there are a couple other options. This is not the only brand of cold brew peach tea, so they are out there on the market. Very quick and simple, so you can use that. Oh, good. I'm not the only one hoarding teas back here.
I was just gonna say, Penny said that they have the same cabinet full of types of tea. I love it.
So funny.
Well, while you're working on this, honestly, that peach iced tea cold brew would probably taste good with these raspberries, like a peach raspberry iced tea. That'd be delicious.
Yes, that is a super good idea. Yeah, so we are making a cold brew iced tea, flavoring it ourselves. That is fine. That is one option. If you don't want to do that, of course, you can do these peach teas too. And I guess what I'll just make one final note about these. We only have let's see, how many? That's 6 grams carb. And that's because we're mashing down the raspberry. So it's going to provide a little bit more sugar to this beverage, but it's still very minimal in the amount of sugars in comparison to some of our other flavored teas. This one also is going to be, carb-free, sugar-free option as well. So we can always do this one too. Very good. So what would the majority of the group has had those cold brew, or they have not had those cold brew packets?
Have not. Majority of the group have not tried them. And some of them have said that they like the hot tea rather than the cold. But maybe with this recipe, it'll be an extra fun drink to try out, especially on those hot summer days. Although lately we haven't had very many hot summer days.
I know, we got down in the 50s again last night, didn't we? A much needed break. Okay, so we've got that. That's our base. That's what we're doing right now with our no sugar added raspberry iced tea. I'm just letting those sit back there, infuse a little bit longer. Actually, I will remove the tea bag so that it's not too strong. So I will go ahead and add or remove those real quick. And then we will move on to pineapple mint. So, question for the group, has anybody added mint to any of their beverages before? It's not an herb that I use very often, but I think about things like when somebody mentioned cucumber in their water. I think cucumber and mint pairs very well. So we don't have to always stick to these type of recipes that we are talking about. Ooh, chocolate mint tea. That sounds very tasty. Delicious. Very good. All right. So last time I used the infuser pitcher. I've got a variety of pitchers. I've got this very nice glass one that I'll use later for our cold brew tea. And then, you know, sometimes you just have a travel pitcher lying around. So we're doing a travel pitcher right now. This is a good one to kind of have for the refrigerator, really, or if you are going on that beach day or that picnic, you can already have this kind of infusing in your refrigerator, grab and go, stick it in the cooler, and you've got a delicious beverage for your hot summer day, whatever it is that you have planned. So we're going to use our travel pitcher today for our pineapple mint water. If you are following along, we are going to use 12 mint leaves. So I've got my fresh mint sitting here just in a small cup of water. And with this trick, and you could do this with mint leaves, you could do this with basil leaves, thinking what else you might do this with. We're going to use 12 mint leaves specifically. Ooh, and as I'm touching them, it's smelling so good. And we're going to just infuse that flavor. We want to give it a little coaxing to kind of get that flavor out. And so we're going to crush it lightly. We stick it into the water. So what I'm going to do is I've just gathered up some mint leaves here. I have a few more that I'm going to get. I'm just going to bundle them up, and then they say crush lightly. So I'm just going to kind of, you know, twist it a little bit just to give it a good twist, kind of open up those leaves a little bit before I drop them into my water. Of course, with anything fresh like our raspberries, our rosemary, our watermelon, we're always washing those before we stick those into the water. So I have already washed my mint leaves. So I've crushed those lightly. I'm going to stick them into my water. I am going to gather up a few more as well because I didn't quite get 12 that first time. And then we're going to pair it with pineapple. So we're giving you guys a couple of different options here in using some of your fruit and flavoring waters. The first recipe that we used with the watermelon used fresh watermelon. With the pineapple, of course, you can use fresh pineapple as well. But today, for the sake of demonstration and also just kind of using what you might have in your pantry, we are going to do a canned pineapple because canned fruit can work absolutely perfectly in these type of infusion waters as well. So I've crushed up my mint leaves, I've thrown them in so far, and then we're just adding 1 cup of cubed diced pineapple chunks. Again, you can use fresh, of course, if you have that on hand, but just as another option, I mentioned that I was going to do canned. So we're doing pineapple chunks in a can. They are in 100% juice, right? So that's no added sugar, but we know that we'll get some natural sugars from our pineapple as it infuses. And we're going to do 1 cup, but I have drained off that pineapple. For that pineapple juice. I'm not adding any of the juice specifically. However, maybe Kim could talk about that a little bit. If you like a little bit of extra sweetness, instead of adding some of your extra sweeteners, like maybe adding sugar or honey to this, maybe adding just a little bit of that pineapple juice, just to make it taste kind of what you prefer to drink. So that is one option to do with that juice. So we're going to do 1 cup of pineapple. We're going to throw that into our pitcher and let that infuse. So what other fruit would you pair with mint if you were going to do mint? I saw some mint lovers in the group. What other combinations can you think of to pair with mint? Mm.
I don't know if anybody's ever tried blueberry and mint, but that's a really nice combination.
I would have never thought about that one.
Blueberry season's coming up.
It is exciting.
All right. Ooh, Penny said blackberry. That sounds delicious.
All right, there we go. Stick it in the refrigerator overnight infusion for a good 8 to 10 hours or so, and you are ready to go and be refreshed on that hot summer day. You can see my pineapple is floating to the bottom, mint leaves floating to the top, kind of pretty combination there. So we are done with our pineapple mint water. So we're going to set that off to the side, and then we're going to get back to our no added sugar raspberry iced tea. All right, so we're looking to be pretty cool here, not too hot. All right, so just a refresher here. I've got 4 cups of water brewed with 6 pouches, 6 tea bags of a black tea. We're going to go ahead and add that to our pitcher. So I'm going to do this over the sink real quick. Okay, so we've got our tea done. And then we have let these raspberries infuse into this water for quite some time. So those should be good and tasty. We're going to strain out those raspberries so we don't have raspberry chunks in our iced tea. So again, we just got our a fine mesh strainer. These are pretty handy to have. I had actually never had one before until recently. This one has those little handles at the ends of it, so you can simply stick it over your bowl so you can easily just pour through. Another reason to have maybe one of these fine mesh strainers on hand is to rinse quinoa. Quinoa is one of those whole grain options, completely outside of a hydration topic. But if you ever need to rinse any of your whole grains, this is a good way so your quinoa doesn't go through your typical strainer or colander. So we've mashed up our raspberries. We're just going to pour through and get those seeds and broken down fruit out. We'll give that a second to get all of the fluid out. Oh, this is going to taste delicious. I can just see it. All right, so as that is draining, we're also going to add some fresh lemon juice. So very similar to the suggestion that Isabel had earlier with strawberries and lemons, a classic combination, and water. We're going to do a little raspberry and a touch of lemon in our tea. So we're also going to add about 2 tablespoons. Just going to use a regular spoon here, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to our tea. And then the rest of our raspberry juices. Right now we've got hot tea for sure, and I'm sure this would be absolutely delicious that way as well. But right now, that is the end of it, right? So now we've got some no sugar added raspberry iced tea for the refrigerator. So when we are thirsty and just looking for a break, we can kind of come back to this. I'm going to set this off to the side to cool down even further, and then we'll come back to it at the end and we'll just display all of them over ice. So we will take it back to Kim. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Tina. So when we look at our sugar-free options, let's go back. Let's go back, Isabel, to our 0 sugar. Couple slides before this. Yep. Nope. Keep moving through. Yep, keep going. Okay, my zero sugar isn't showing up. There we go. Okay, so there's no zero sugar.
I'm seeing the,
we go. Oh, it should go from zero sugar cola. Yep. What's right before this? LaCroix?
yeah,
Okay, whatever. It's fine. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, whatever is after the recipe, I'm going with it because I'm thinking something before that. So whatever's after the recipe, I'm going with it. Okay.
perfect.
So, sugar-free hydration can mean numerous different beverages. So we can look at things like our seltzer, our carbonated beverages. So for one thing, this is a carbonated water like this LaCroix. Many of you have probably seen the vast flavor options of this carbonated beverage LaCroix, and all of our Walmart, Costco, oh my gosh, so many stores have their own carbonated water. And it's so okay to drink seltzer water or carbonated water and have um these types of beverages because it's zero carbs, zero sugars, there's no artificial alternative sweeteners in these items. So enjoy your body, there's no sodium, nothing. So enjoy something like this. All right, let's look at another one. This is a zero sugar Coca-Cola. So this has zero carb, zero sugar, zero added sugars. So your blood sugar, when you test it from drinking this beverage, should not become affected. It does contain a little bit of sodium, which is a different topic, and may contain some caffeine, which is a different topic. Why it is zero sugar is it contains aspartame, which is an alternative sweetener, which provides us that sweetened flavoring, but our body doesn't recognize it. It's not natural. So it can bring up some controversy, but it does not affect our blood sugars negatively. So this could be hydrating in ways, but I wouldn't use it primarily as our hydration beverage. I still would go for water as the main beverage, but this could work to give you a break. So let's move on. This is your Bai. And for those of you that have had a beverage called Bai, this is used and found in, your Meijer, your Walmart, your Walgreens, Sam's Club. As you notice, it is very little calories. There is 12 grams of carb in this. The sugar level grams is very low, but the carbohydrate content is what it is because of the sugar alcohols, erythritol. So this in the ingredient list, there's filtered water and then erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol. It's still a sugar substitute, still something our body does not naturally know what to do with. And it is providing something that your body thinks is getting, your body thinks, okay, this beverage is sweet, should not be affecting your blood sugars. It is a sugar substitute. It's not natural. Could it be something your body may react to in different ways other than blood sugar? Perhaps. Everybody has their opinions. But it is 12 grams of carbohydrate, which it may affect blood sugars for some people, despite having the sugar content being 1 gram. So I wanted to show you this, that despite there being 1 gram of sugar, there still is a carbohydrate called erythritol, which is a sugar substitute. So I don't know how many of you have paid attention to that. Sugar substitutes in or sugar alcohols in products like this. It looks
Kim,
like,
there is a question in the
yeah,
chat. Brenda says, why do you watch carbs when diabetic?
okay. That's a very good question. Kind of the same question I just threw out. So carbohydrate is the umbrella term for all nutrients in a food that can raise blood sugar. So on a food label, if you notice that the total carbohydrate is bolded, everything under that that's indented is not bolded. That is all encompassed underneath the carbohydrate. So the total carbohydrate, or the carbohydrate, we watch that because that's the mother, that's the umbrella term for the sugars, the fibers, the added sugars. So if we look at that, because that takes care of everything that could affect our blood sugars as someone with diabetes. So I hope that helps you, Brenda, understand why we look at carbs. Sugars is one of many one of many things that can make our blood sugars higher. I hope that helps.
Then Jill said that they never looked at erythritol levels
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden in some aspects, and it's not in everything. Neither is aspartame or other sweeteners, alternative sweeteners, we should say. It's not in many foods, and it's not obvious. So erythritol is one of those sugar alcohols. You don't see it everywhere, but it is in some beverages that tricks our mind into thinking that it's sweet, but it really is not truly sugar. So I think of it as something they put in food that makes us think that it's a sweet beverage, but really it's very low calorie, barely any sugar. But as we know now, carbohydrate level in this product, it potentially could have an impact slightly on our diabetes blood sugar level if we check it. Hydration wise, it depends. It may or may not have an impact. It's kind of mediocre. All right, let's see what else we got. What I really want to say is this, is with the beverages that you drink during these warm summer months, the important thing is from today is that you stay hydrated, meaning make water with mint, with some infusion from, some fruit. You can dilute it with a little bit of, fruit juice, herbs, but stay hydrated and have fun with some of these recipes because we want you to feel good. We want your blood sugars to stay good because as you now know that the higher the temperature goes outside, we can become dehydrated very easy and your blood sugars will go up as well. And we don't want you to feel unwell. So again, make hydration a really big, important thing this summer. Stay hydrated and have fun with the recipes that, and drink from your fun water bottles too. Put some of these fun things in a fun water bottle and stay hydrated. Is there anything else?
And we did have another question. Jill is asking if 1 gram of sweetener is equal to 4 teaspoons of sugar.
1 gram of sweetener, like what kind of sweetener? sugar? One gram of sugar is equal to 4 teaspoons of sugar?
Is 1 gram of sugar equal to 4 teaspoons?
1 gram of sugar is equal to 4 teaspoons of sugar? I'm not sure I understand that.
Well, if you want to unmute, you can definitely do that as well, if that is easier, or I can unmute you if you like.
I guess I'll also just add while that question is coming in. It's 1 teaspoon of sugar equals 4 grams of sugar on the label. That's how you did that calculation, right, Kim? You divided the however many grams of sugar divided by 4 equals that many teaspoons of sugar.
Oh, on the colas and Monsters, yes.
Yeah.
Does that help answer your question, Jill?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's where, yeah.
And then Tina just put in the chat. Yep. Okay. Okay.
It adds up quick.
All right. Okay. Does that bring us to Tina?
Yep, I'm ready. If you want to put my camera back on, it looks like you disabled me, Isabel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Start my video. There we go. All right. Very good. Yes. And we'll open it up to Q&A as well. So we're all here as a group. That's the end of Kim's education component. I've got the display of all 3 sugar-free beverages that we did today. Even though there is a small amount of sugar, as we heard from Kim, right, it's going to have very little impact on our blood sugars ultimately when living with diabetes. So we've got our rosemary, watermelon water sitting here, although it's not been infused overnight. I've got it displayed. We've got our pineapple mint option. We've got our raspberry iced tea. We have some beautiful options here to try out this summer so we can kind of mix it up, still be blood sugar friendly, and stay hydrated this summer. So we appreciate your time. We still have a few minutes if we've got any time for Q&A. If you've got any additional questions, we'd love to hear them.
Those look beautiful, and your little garnishes on the side are so cute.
Love them.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna unspotlight Tina if anybody has any other questions. And then or if not, thank you for joining us. And I'm gonna stop the recording now.